In this presentation, we will create a profit and loss report with a percentage of expenses within QuickBooks Online. Here we are in our free test drive file for Craig's Design and Landscaping Services. We're going to scroll on down to the reports. Once again, on the left side, we're going to be working with our favorite report, that financial statement report of the profit and loss report. Opening up the profit and loss report, we're going to be changing the dates up top, those dates being from 01/01/19 to 12/31/19, January through December 2019. Going to run that report. Then I'm going to duplicate the tab up top. We're going to right click on this tab up top and duplicate it so we have our normal kind of process with the report on the right hand side, anything else we need to do on the left hand side. Then to maximize the screen, I'm going to remove the hamburger. Get rid of the hamburger over there. We're going to then, well, the hamburger is still there, but the thing that the hamburger is attached to is gone. So we're going to increase the size of the screen now by holding down Control, scrolling up. Let's make it at the 125. Now, last time we did a vertical analysis, and we'll keep on working with our percentages because I know everybody likes percentages and whatnot. So now we're going to do the percentages, percent of expenses. The less common report, not nearly as common as the vertical analysis percentage of income, but can be useful, and it's worthwhile again to work with those percentages and see what we can do with them. So I'm going to go back up top. We got our standard report. We're going to go in the same section with the drop down here, scrolling down. Last time we had the percentage of income. This time we're going to be using the percentage of expenses. Percent of expenses. We're going to say run that report. And then scroll on down and we'll see that we have these percentage columns once again. So this time, instead of our core number that we're comparing to being the 10,200, we're comparing to the core number of the expense. And basically, whenever you have a question, if it's a vertical analysis kind of thing like this, instead of a horizontal, we're comparing one year to itself as opposed to 1 year over another. You could scroll down and say, okay, well, where's the 100%? Where's the 100%? Where's the 100%? It's going to be down here in the total expenses. So total expenses here are the 5,237. Everything is then being compared to it. Now this is really useful on the expense side of things because it's similar to what we did last time, but we're not now comparing to what the expenses are used for, the generation of income, total income, revenue, but now we're comparing expenses to the total expenses. So it's useful then to look through these expenses and say, all right, where's my percentage highest expense? If I look through all of our expenses, which one is highest on a percentage basis? So all we're doing here then, to calculate one of these, we'll pull out the trusty calculator here. Let's take the rent or lease, where we have the 900 divided by the total, which is the 5237.31, and that's going to be, if I move the decimal point over, 17.18%, 17.18%. So we can easily then go through here. It might be easier to see if I look at the expenses and zoom in and say, okay, what's my highest expense on a percentage basis? And you could scroll through here and check out the highest expense on the percentage basis. You can compare this, if you can get a similar report, to other organizations that you're benchmarking to, comparing to. The percentage, once again, is easier to take a look at because you can think about expenses compared to the total expenses in a percentage basis. Even though their numbers are much higher, the percentages will be easier to look at. If you look at the income number, then notice if I scroll up top and I take a look at the total income is over 100%. How can that be? Well, because we're hoping the income is greater than the expense line. So if we're taking income compared to expenses, the income should be higher. So if we're taking the 10,200.77 and dividing that by the total expenses down below, where did that total expenses go? The 5237. So we divide that by the 5237.31. Then you're going to get something that 1.49. If I scroll back up, if I move the decimal places over, that's 194.7%. So 194.77%. So let's do our same process here and export this report. So I'm going to go back up top, and let's customize it. We'll go to the customize report, and let's make it with no pennies. Let's go to the brackets and make it red. And then we're going to go to the header and footer, and we're going to make it a profit and loss with a, let's just say percent. Let's make a symbol this time, of expense. And then let's remove the date, time, and report basis. And then we're going to go ahead and run that report. Looks like it's within our standard report settings, so that looks fairly good. And there we go. Okay, let's go back up top. Let's save or customize, memorize that report. Memorizing the report, saving that. That then will, of course, show up if I go to my prior tab. That's why we have this prior tab over here, so I can not delete the report and just go on over here and say, let's check out our custom reports on the side and see if that did indeed save the way I wanted it to. So there it is, profit and loss report. Looks like it did indeed. So I'm going to go back to the other tab and let's go ahead and print this. So now we got multiple reports. We could send them one by one with an email, but that's not as nice. We could save them as a PDF and then send them one at a time or zip them. I'm going to practice using our printer. So we're going to go to our printer because that has our cute PDF printer that we're practicing using because it's a useful tool to know about. It's then going to ask us where do we want to put it. So I'm going to say, we'll tell you where we want it. We want it in the profit and loss, and this is going to be P and L, and let's percent of expense, something like that. I'm going to say okay. Let's save that one. Close this back out. Then we're going to export it to Excel. We'll select the drop down up top. We're going to go ahead and export that to Excel. Generates nice and quickly down here, which is appreciated. Open up our Excel worksheet. There we have it. Then I'm going to go ahead and test it. Does it all fit on one page? I'm going to go to the page layout tab and check that out. Looks like it does. I'm going to go back to the normal view where we can now see the dotted line where the page then ends. I'm going to remove this total thing because I don't really need that total thing there. I'm going to do some extra formatting. Going to remove the line that's being put there because I don't need that. I could remove a whole row if I want and take that out. That looks pretty good. I can make the percentages basically without decimals if I want, like that. So that looks pretty good. So we'll save it like that. Obviously you can do a lot more formatting, within Excel. Then we're gonna copy this to our other Excel sheet, the one that we've been saving all of our reports to. And that's this one where we have 4 reports. We're gonna add a 5th now. Selecting the plus button to do so. I'm gonna rename it. I'm just gonna call it a P and L percent, or I'm just gonna expense percent or something like that. I'm gonna go back to the other report now. I'm gonna copy the whole thing by selecting this triangle or any place, and then Control A, and then right click or Control C and copy. Then we're gonna go back to where we want to place it. Have to be on. Just note that if I'm anywhere other than A1, just to show you, and I try to paste it and say paste, it's going to say, hey, I don't have room because you copied the entire workbook and I don't have, and so that's going to be larger, than the thing here. So I'm going to say, okay, let's put it on A1, right click and paste. And there we have it. So now we have it there. And so I'm going to go ahead and save this. And then let's print it as a PDF with all of these forms on the one file, which is really impressive. So we're going to go to the File tab. We're going to print it. Then we're going to print it using the cute PDF printer. We want to make sure that we're going to print the entire workbook, which now has 10 pages in it. 10 pages in the workbook, as can be seen down below. Then we're going to go ahead and select the print button, which will actually save it as a PDF file. It's going to ask us where we want to put it. We're going to say, I'll show you where we're going to put it here. We're going to put it in 3. We're going to replace that name and say, okay, that's where it goes. And it's going to replace it. That's what we want. And then I'm going to close these. And then let's see what we have now. If we were imagining emailing this to somebody, we could say now we have all these reports, which we can attach to one email, but it's getting kind of extensive now to put on one email. Would be nicer to put them all in one file and then zip that file so that we're sending then a compressed file so they can only open one thing, but they're all zipped. Or we can send the Excel file, which would be unusual unless we had someone that wanted it in that format. Or we can send the PDF file, which now has all of the reports in the one PDF file, which would look something like this, which would probably be the most kind of impressive type of way to send it out.